All righty. Here we go again with another live stream. Uh, this time we are live by ourselves, not like the epic live stream was just over 3 weeks ago, which was amazing, by the way. We had a great turnout for that. Thanks for everybody who participated in that, who came out to watch it. Some people stayed all day and sent me messages at the beginning and the end of it. Some people just sent me messages, somehow throughout of it whenever they were watching live. It was really awesome, though. We had a really amazing turnout live. Unfortunately, to this day, over 3 weeks later, the actual footage, the actual live stream itself is still corrupt on YouTube. It's still sitting there in its full time, but it is not at all able to be downloaded. It's not able to be nothing is. I mean, it's corrupt as far as I'm concerned. Luckily, I happen to have a 10-hour download of it from StreamYard, which is the service that I use to do the live stream. Hello, Father Jordan, and hello, Stefan. And then approaching the 10-hour mark, I mentioned that I didn't have a recording team and I'd love to have somebody this year. And luckily, someone was willing to actually do that. And I'll tell you, there was a couple of people that had volunteered to participate in that with that as part of the chat, but only one person did and didn't bother to even tell me. He just was like, "Oh, well, you need something. I'm just going to hit record and start doing it," which was amazing to me because if it were not for him, I would not have the epic live stream to upload after the 10-hour mark. So basically, the last almost 9 hours of it was thanks to this one guy who he prefers not to have his name revealed, and he doesn't like to have anybody note who he is or anything. So he is a phantom as far as we're all concerned, but I am very grateful to him for his participation with the epic live stream, recording the last 9 hours of it. And he also showed me in the days following exactly how easy it is for me to do. So next year, it should be easier for me to archive it myself. Hopefully, I'm going to do my very, very best. Thank you so much for your content. You already helped me so much with your videos. Absolutely. Thank you, Stefan, for that nice comment. And hello, I'm DeBrown. How is it going tonight? We have 7 people in here watching, and if you have any questions, by all means, please do not hesitate to ask, because I am just sitting here ready to go. And hello, it's not said. I'm sorry, it's Saeed, I guess. Cisneros. I'm gonna completely botch the name, but hello back. If you're watching it in the live chat, which is available on replay on this video, then you can see the name that I am butchering, and I do apologize for that. But if anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to ask. Now, I did say that this is a brainstorming session as well, because one of the things I want to do, as you know, yes, Dieselton, hi, Alan, pleasure seeing pleasure surprised to have seen you in the Curtis Judd live. And a lot of the times I'll watch his video live. I just cannot, I'm not sitting there in participation, on my phone. I'll just listen to it. And so I'll just listen to see what goes on, or I'll catch the replay. But real quick though, what I was going, how long did it take to recover from the live stream? Actually, it didn't. I went to bed. All right, here's the funny thing. When we finished, my adrenaline level was so high. When we wrapped, I talked to Petrushka. She was there with me until the very end. She and I talked for another 20 or so minutes. If you watch the very end of part 2, you'll see a screenshot I did with her, just like the one that I did at the end of the second one with David. And that is at the end with the final countdown, or not countdown, the final countdown. That's a song, isn't it? The final time that we did that stream for. And we took that picture. It's basically there at the very, very end of the stream, and it is along with thanks and how much total money we made based on the what is it, the board, the tool that they gave me. StackUp gave me a tool that allowed me to see the donations and the total amount that came in, and I could see that exact amount, and I could also see a deposit made from YouTube to that. So I saw the total amount of the stream, and I can't recall what it is right now. but it was better than it was the first 2 years. And after I finished up there, I think I brushed my teeth, and I was still very much amped up. I was still tired. I was definitely tired, but I was very amped up. And I think at that point I'd been up for I'd only gone to sleep for like 2.5 hours or something like that, something ridiculous the night before. And I think the previous 3 nights, I'd only slept like a total of 12 hours or something crazy. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was something really low. But my adrenaline level was so high that after I brushed my teeth and I laid down in bed, I was wide awake. I was just like thinking about everything. So I actually had to take melatonin to go to sleep, which I almost never do, but I had to calm myself down and settle down. So I did. I went to sleep, and then after I got to sleep, I had to be up by, what was it, like 11 noon, something like that. I forgot the time I had to be up, because we have, it's the night before, New Year's Day. I mean, it's New Year's Eve, so I had to basically be part of the family stuff, and it would not be something I could do if I just go to sleep and I'm sleeping all day. So I had to be a family guy. I had to join the family. So I only got like 4.5, 5 hours of sleep, something like that night. And I was basically just chill all day. I just sat there and watched movies and TV and stuff. We played games. I watched the girls play games. And I think that night I went to sleep and had a hard time sleeping more than about 5 or 6 hours. At that point, I would kind of train myself to not sleep more than that. And I think the next day when I woke up, I was fine. So New Year's Day, I was fine. But we went to bed at, I think I went to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m., whenever that was, that night. Because if memory serves, oh yeah, that's what it was. That was a voice chat night. So I was in a voice chat with Bandrew and some other people on the podcast Discord server. And so by the time I finally got out of that, it was like 2 or 3 a.m. I might have even watched a movie. I can't remember what time it was, but I went to sleep, slept maybe about 5 or 6 hours, and then I was up and totally fine. So that first day, New Year's Eve, was pretty rough. But then New Year's Day onwards, I was fine. So there you go. Good evening, Larry. Thanks for coming out here. So let's see. It says, all right, my name is hard, LOL. It's a lot like the character Lost. Sayid, I've never seen that show. I have never seen that show, so I have no idea. Are you planning on releasing some sort of boom technique video in the near future? Yes, that is something that I have in prep. The very first priority, and this is something I'll tell you about right now. I have gone ahead and produced the next 3 episodes of Sound Speeds. So Monday, tomorrow's episode, if you're watching this live, the episode for basically January 23rd is going to be released on the 23rd. On the 30th, that one's being released. On the 6th, that one's being released. Those are already pre-made. Those are already ready to go. I have a short that's going to go live this upcoming Thursday, which is what, the 26th, 27th? Let's see. Tomorrow's the 23rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. All right, so 26th. I have a short going out then. And then I have, if you're a member of the, either a member of the Patreon or you're a member of the YouTube channel, I have a special video going out. It's a small one, going out a week from Thursday. So all levels will be able to see that. So if you're a member of the Patreon or if you're a member of the channel membership, I have that going out. But I'm not going to be doing any creation until probably the second, as soon as we're past the first full week of February. The reason why is because I've already started it, but I need to actually get through my portion of, if you watch the Epic live stream, Patricia Mirzwa is doing another book, and this one's on boom operating. I'm one of the people that she's collaborating with to do a part of it, and I'm doing a part on technique, and so I need to get my portion done before I get another show, and I'm just busy doing that, and so I needed to get ahead on my video production. And, Forgotten Times, thank you for becoming a supporter. Joining the channel membership, thank you. So what I need to do is I need to get ahead. I need to actually get the writing done. I've been sitting on a timeline. I know I've been adding stuff to it as I do, and then I need to actually write it. So I'm going to be spending the next 2.5 or so weeks sitting here at my computer, unless I get a show, or day playing or something like that, just typing away, trying to get the book written. So my daytime hours, as much as I can, while my girls are off at school or something like that, I'm going to be doing that, working on that in the evening whenever I can. And that's going to be what my main focus is, because I want to try to get my timeline to the text so that way it can be in Petrushka's hands, because she wants to get the book together in the next couple of months if she can. So I want to at least get my portion done, because I don't want her waiting on me. The book and everything she's doing means way too much to me, and I don't want to be either excluded from it for lack of time or to be the thing she's waiting on. So I'm going to at least do my part there. So, but I am going to do that. The technique, the outline that I've already started for that is also going to be parts of it are going to be in a video series. See, in a book, you can't really do the same as you can in video. So it's got to be done text-wise. It's got to be done like a book. You know, you always say, the book's always better than the movie. Well, the book will have a lot of details, but there's also things that we can do in a visual, in the video. And the way I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it into 3 different parts. It's going to be beginner techniques, intermediate techniques, and advanced techniques. And I'm looking at trying to get it done some weekend that I'm going to have alone. I'm going to just try to heavy hit this thing, try to get it done, shoot it, and whatever. It's going to be a big undertaking. It's going to be big because it's going to take a while to put together, in addition to the regular content I'm doing, and I'm sure I'll be on a show by then. So I'm going to try to do it on maybe like a 3-day weekend. Last year, Memorial Day, I basically went into cable making mode. So I was in a crazy cable making. I took cable orders, if you recall. I have one 8-footer left, by the way. I only have one 8-foot XLR cable left, and I can send that if anybody's interested. It's what is it, $75 including shipping in the United States, something like that. But it's the handmade SoundSpeed special cable. It's the only one left, and I have no intention of making any more anytime soon. But last year I took orders because there was a lot of talk about them, and so I said, okay, fine, I'll take more orders. And I took a bunch of orders, did some custom orders, and just got them all done. So they're all done now. They're completely released, and I overmade a few because I figured there might be some people that some people had said, I don't have the money right now. I'll get back to you later, or I'm not ready to buy just yet. I'm gonna make an order in the future. And I was like, okay, because you've asked now, I'll go ahead and do them. So anyway, I got those orders done, and that's what I basically spent Memorial Day weekend on. It was crazy because I quite literally, as soon as my family left to go to a convention, I went to Walmart. I got some food and drinks, and I sat down and set up the front room in front of the TV and just made cables until I got too tired. Went to sleep, woke up, resumed making cables, went to sleep when I got too tired, which was like 17, 18 hours later. Went to sleep, woke up, did the same thing again, kept doing that, kept eating the food that I bought and drinking, and I didn't do anything else except binge watching shows, or rather listening to them in the background. But that's all I did Memorial Day weekend last year, 2022. And this year I plan to do the same kind of thing if I need to get that video done, because I would really like to. Now, granted, that time of year it's usually pretty hot. I don't want to do it in a place where it's going to be really outrageously hot. I got to figure out exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it. There's some logistics I have to work out, because if I collaborate with somebody, there would be what do I do? Pay them out of pocket, or if because I'm probably going to have some people to actually boom, but there's a whole lot of logistics I have to work out. Basically, it would be more money I spend out of pocket, so probably it will be behind a paywall. At least I know the intermediate and advanced will be. I'm thinking about releasing 1 or 2 videos of each one of them as a freebie. I don't know exactly what I want to do or how I want to do it. I do know it's going to be a big investment. I do know it's going to be a lot of time. I do know it's going to be a chunk of money I'm probably going to have to spend up front to probably get a facility, get something like that. And I'm going to have to basically probably have some help, because it's not as simple as me setting up a video camera and going hog wild. But I might. Who knows? I don't know. I did put the bug in Curtis Judd's ear a few months ago about doing a live class with him on his channel, and he and I have not talked about it. I think he has a lot of other things in the works, but it's something that I think it was in a live stream he did. I said if anybody is you know, if Curtis wanted to do a video series about laving, I think that's what it was, I said I'd be willing to. But anyway, that's a little bit about that, but I'm concentrating on the book in the next 2.5 weeks or so while I'm trying to work on getting another show. Anyway, there you go. Hey, Alan, you have really helped me so much. Your videos have educated me on my boom operating, pretty much changed my life in my production sound career. Cheers. Great. Thank you so much, G-Man. Awesome. Doc Justice, the epic live stream was fun, wild, and certainly and certifiably nuts. Happy to see that insanity for a good cause. Yes, thank you very much, Doc, again, for being the first sponsor. Doc was actually literally, Halter Technical was the very first brand I approached about trying to be a sponsor for the epic live stream. I had gotten in my mind that I was going to do, I don't do sponsorships on the show, on the channel, as you know, but for charity, I figured it would be something that I could probably generate some more money for charity if I did that. So I'd been thinking about, you know, who I wanted to reach out to, and I reached out to Doc first because I like what he's doing with the company, and I like the direction he's going. I like the fact that he listens to people. He doesn't anytime there's a critique, he listens, he pays attention, and he puts it in with all the other suggestions he has, works them around, and comes out with a formula that he has for success. And I really like what he's doing with his company. So anyway, that's the reason why as a small business, Halter Technical is done some really amazing things and is picking up a lot of momentum. So I wanted to approach him first. So Doc was the very first person I approached about that. You're only missing out on years of disappointment if you haven't seen Lost. Okay, well, you know what? It was like 5 months ago when I got COVID that I was isolated for, I think, 10 days in this studio, not doing jack. Except I made some cables. I've been waiting to do a couple of custom orders, and those kind of came through. So I made the custom orders while I had COVID, and then I waited until I didn't have COVID anymore to sanitize them and then send them out, just to make sure, because I don't want to be the person that spreads them all out throughout the world. You know, even though, you know, technically, you know how it is, the virus doesn't stay on surfaces more than a certain amount of time. But I still, either way, I wanted to make sure that I send out things that were sterile. But anyway, then I did that, and I had until that point not watched any of Breaking Bad. But I was been told for years, gotta watch Breaking Bad, gotta watch Breaking Bad, gotta watch Breaking Bad. And I just got through working with some of the people that worked on Breaking Bad and on Better Call Saul. So I binge watch when I had COVID. Cobra Kai again, because I love that show. Also, all 5 seasons that are released as of now, and I know they just released the announcement of season 6. And I did also binge watch all of Breaking Bad, with the exception of a few episodes I wasn't able to get to before I was back. But anyway, yeah, I watched a few movies in there too, and it was good times. Anyway, I was very bored. Did not like being isolated from my family and stuff. It was crazy. It's been the last year has been very interesting, and if anybody has any interest in hearing about that, I could talk about it. But it's always ambitious, always me trying to do stuff. Anyway, tomorrow I'm starting my 2nd semester of college. One of my classes I chose to take is TVF 1200 Intro to Audio. Oh, well, Diesel, you got to tell me what you think about that, because I'll tell you this. School and learning from textbooks is all well and good. A lot of the times the teachers I had in the past that taught certain topics sometimes got things wrong. Sometimes they didn't make me happy with the way that they taught things and presented it. I was already I was already working on projects and making movies and TV when I went to college. And so the college I went to annoyed me extremely because they were taking a big step in trying to get bigger They wanted to try to teach more people, but in doing so, they would get a lot of money from the government to put towards their program. But they did not have the infrastructure in place. It did not have the teachers, the staff, or anything like that. So they increased tuition. And then one of the things they did that I really got frustrated about is they decided to have master's level students. One of the things they could do as part of their master's level criteria was they would be allowed to teach classes in film to undergrads. So if they were a grad student in film, they could teach an undergrad. Now that sounds good on the surface, because there are additional things like many of the classes I took, you had graduate and undergrad students in there. And there's nothing really technically bad with that, except that the grad students might have an additional project or two. Like I remember there was like a 10-page, like we had a 4 to 6 page long project due in one class, and they had to do one that was 10 to 12. So they had to go a little bit deeper. And that was the only difference. So the difference between grad and undergrad was that in that particular class. But the other thing I found interesting was that when these teachers would have to take the classes was completely up to them. So if they, for example, were a first semester grad student, they could still teach sound. Not sound, they could still teach film classes. So if they had an undergrad in biology or English, they could be a first semester film student and teach film classes. And these teachers would mispronounce things. They'd read a couple of chapters ahead, and they wouldn't have a full understanding of things. And there was usually about 3 or 4 other people in the class that we would all quickly pick each other out as people who have experience. So I'd be sitting there, I'd hear the teacher say something, and I'd kind of glance. I'd glance over just with my eyes, and I'd see the glance from somebody else looking back at me, and then someone else looking back, and we would all kind of look at each other like, okay, they just said something boneheaded. That's wrong. So when it came down to short answers and stuff like that on the test, we would all give our full answers and get those right. And the teacher, I'm sure, was like, oh, yes, I see. But that was something I did not appreciate about my alma mater and how they handled it. So I hated the school. I hated their program there. But I won't go any farther on and why I didn't go to someplace else. But I hope your experience is better than mine, and I hope you have a good teacher for your intro to audio class. TVF 1200. Behind the Sound card is great. She really blew my mind on many topics. Yeah, and being that she's traveled all over the world and participated in shows of different levels, of the top tier, there was a lot in there that I didn't know too, because it's just, when you have all the work locally and you don't have to travel, you don't. You take shows unless you want to. Unless you're like, oh well, the difference between this rate and this rate is like an extra 10 an hour plus idle days and benefits or whatever. If you want to, you can go and do those shows. Me personally, I don't like to travel and be away from my family. I like being closer. But yeah, she's traveled the world and she's done all kinds of amazing things. And I was so happy that she put that in, because it was a great read for me. I mean, I don't, as I say in my channel intro, I don't pretend to know everything. Not at all. So I learned quite a bit. Alejandro, hey, how's it going, Alan? Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year. Happy, hello all, and hello to Richard. Let me turn on the toggle the timestamps, because I'm so bad at keeping track of what's going on and when and how. So Richard, thank you very much for popping in here. Sarkisian, I believe is his last name and how to say it. Travis, haven't seen you in a while. How's it going, man? A law class would be great. It's one of those topics that few veteran everyone can, that new to veteran everyone can always pick up value information. Yes. Now, okay, I'm going to mention something here. It's probably not going to go over well with some people. A lot of the appliances that have been released in recent years make things so much easier in some ways, and also, I don't want to say cheating, because that's not that. I mean, whatever it takes to get the best sound, but they also, I have some disagreements with them. I come from a more old school background where I am very minimalistic in what I put on a lav when I attach it to someone. I do very low profile things almost every single time. If there is a need for me to bulk it up for wind protection or because of scratchiness or something, I will, but I don't just automatically plan for all of that and build this big, huge thing up that's the size of my pinky from this joint up. I don't do that. I'm very old school, low profile. I don't even usually opt for something like an RM11 when I'm planting or placing a COS 11 on somebody. Nor do I use, even if I'm using a DPA 4060 or a 6060, nor do I use a concealer. I don't do those as a rule. I will sometimes under certain circumstances, but for the most part, I don't. So it's one of those things where you see a lot of people producing content with regards to their appliances and their products. I'm not going to name anybody's name, and they do great videos. A lot of really cool solutions that they come up with for problems, and I am just not that guy. I will do it, and I'm aware of them. I haven't used them all personally, but I've used many of them, and I'm aware of them. I won't say aware of them all, but I'm aware of a lot of them. And if there ever became a time when I would want to do a video about laving, I would probably resort more to old school techniques with a dusting of new techniques in there. You don't need the new school techniques. Those are being taught on other channels. Those are being taught on the channels of the manufacturers. Me, I would be teaching more of the old school stuff. So yeah, that would be a lav class if I did it. Just like with my sound utility class, which is a general overview of the sound utility position in video form, which is an outline. I released that before the Behind the Sound Cart book was released. I don't go into all the different details, obviously, that she does, but in video form, I'm also able to, I showed pictures of sets that I've been on and how we were able to get through some things and solutions to common problems. I showed, I answered questions because I did the class originally live, and I just taught it live, and I took questions at certain times. And then I sold the class afterwards. So it's available. I mean, if you have an interest in the sound utility class, you can still buy it for $50 if you want. I don't, as you know, push any of the things that I probably should. But hey, it is an option. But anyway, that's what I would probably do, is more old school live stuff. So, hey, Dr. HTC in the stream. Much appreciated, Alan. And what's up, Alejandro? Brett Williams, hey Alan, love your channel. Besides more epic live streams, I love to see a new studio tour and learn how to use standard plugins for audio editing. You didn't watch my new studio tour. My studio has not changed. Well, it's about to. Okay. If you look at my video, do a search on YouTube for SoundSpeed's new Studio 3.0, I think is what it's called. It was released like 8 months ago or something like that. The studio is the same as it was then. I mean, this environment, everything is still, there's still the audio mute blanket with an NRC of 0.85 with a 2 inches of Owens Corning 703 behind that. So that way the wall still stays low profile and it still have a full NRC rating of at least 1. It's basically a full wrap around me, floor to ceiling. It's very dead in here. And the house as a rule is extremely quiet. So I mean, the noisiest thing in here is this computer, the new editing PC that I bought in fall. And thank you again to Titus over at Worth It or Not, who cut me a really good deal on that. He used to use this PC for crypto mining, so has a really souped up everything. And then he decided, after he basically decided that crypto mining was costing more money in power and stuff than it was making him, he says, you know what, I'm going to sell the thing off, basically have profited from the machine that way. And he made me a deal on it, because it was funny, because I reached out to him and said, hey, where's a good place to get a good deal on an editing PC, a top of the line? Well, maybe not top of the line because of the part shortage. It was kind of, difficult to get things. I said, I'm looking for something. I'm in the market. I told him what I was interested in. He says, it just so happens that. And I said, well, let me, I went over to his house and looked at his studio and said, yeah, I mean, this thing's screaming fast. And if this is what you're telling me is going to be great, let me try it. Let me jump on it. And he cut me a great deal. So, That was something that was one of those unexpected charges that I had in fall of last year. But hey, he cut me a good deal, so I was glad to have it. But anyway, so New Studio Tour 3.0. You'll know it, and you'll be able to see the whole studio. I talk all about everything I do in here. The only thing that's different is that the camera right there that you're looking at me on. Little funny backstory on that. I was using, what was it? In my old studio, it was the Panasonic Lumix FC80, which is a very inexpensive mirrorless camera. I decided to try it to see if it would be better than the webcam I started the channel with, because then I'd have to sharpen everything and run it through this very slow, long rendering process. And it ended up doing a lot better than I thought it would. And I still like the camera. When you zoom out all the way, it's only, it has like a, what was it, like the equivalent of like a 2000 or 3000 mil zoom on it built into it. If you zoom way in, then it doesn't look great. But if you're wide, it looks fine. So I'm able to color correct and stuff like that in a minor way, and I was able to make it look pretty good. But when I went to the new studio, the biggest issue I ran into is having that right there. When you watch the new studio, you see that my monitor's in place, the Atom Audio A7X is right there, and there has to be something small enough to fit right there. Right now, as it is, I can literally, this here is 18 inches, okay? When you extend it out all the way. If I put this on my nose, it is shooting well past the lens. So I have to, if I'm going to go to the lens from right where I'm sitting, right there, I'm touching the lens now. That's the distance the way it is right now. So it's only, what is this? Like, barely over 12. So it's not very far away at all. And being that it's only that far away, I need to have something that has a relatively wide lens in it. And when the lens takes up a good chunk of it, it makes it even closer. So the FC80, I believe it was, is fine and has done fine for starting me out. But as for going forward, I needed to have something else that's smaller there. So I started using my this bad boy here, which I got the reference on from Andre at Worth It or Not. This is the Sony ZV-1, and it was sitting there. The issue I run into though with that is that the screen pulls out to the side, and when it pulls out to the side like that, it is right in the way of my Atom Audio A7X. So let's turn off, buddy. Come on, there you go. So being that it is, why'd you turn back on? Turn off. Sound is so much easier. Anyway, so the Sony ZV-1 was right there, and if I did not use the screen, which it will overheat if you don't, then it would do just fine. Except that folding out the screen put it right into the Atom Audio A7X, so I had to extend it out. In which case, you'll see the differences. Like I used it for the Epic live stream. You'll see the difference in between that and the camera that I'm currently using right now, which was a recommendation from a channel member. And someone on the Discord, Eldest recommended that I get the Sony Alpha, if I'm going to sit right there, the Sony Alpha A5000, a very old camera. It's like 8 years old at this point. And so I tried it. And after spending like $200 on it, and I set it up there, I said, you know what? I'm going to get my money's worth out of this thing. That's the reason why I look blurry. That's the reason why I look out of focus and soft focus and stuff. It's not by any means a great camera. The thing also does not have 2997 frame rate. It has 24 and it goes to like 60. So I got frustrated going out of that. I'm going out of that HDMI into the Live Pro L1 by Fieldworld, which is basically allowing me to switch back and forth between 4 channels. But I don't need to have it. I use that basically as a converter for HDMI 60 FPS into 30 FPS, and then I go out USB into my computer. So I got kind of frustrated at that, at this whole process, but I'm, again, using the camera that has very low res. So you can see the difference between the videos I've released the past few months when I'm using the ZV-1 and when I'm not. The ZV-1 I pulled out a few times for a few videos, but otherwise the colors are kind of wacky and the detail is really horrible. So I will be retiring this. Now, I know myself. I'm going to take this camera, and even though I have a dummy battery on it, and I have basically set this thing up for this particular place because I was hoping it would work, I'm going to literally take this camera, put it on a shelf, and probably forget about it. Unless I need an extra camera for something, in which case it's going to be this really mismatched whatever thing. It's probably fine for I'm sure it takes great pictures. The battery of it is still sitting right here on my desk that has been there ever since I put it up there. It's a fine camera for if you want to do gaming and put your icon in the upper right hand corner of the screen, you could easily set it up for that. But I'm not about to do anything more than that at this time, because I just got through. I just found a really awesome YouTube channel. Andre at Worth It or Not, I talked to him. I called him earlier this week saying I'm looking at getting, I had on my radar since the Epic live stream, Sean Milo had the, he uses the Insta360 Link camera. And that camera I thought was pretty cool. When I did a talk with him before we went live, I talked to him a couple of days before to get the details of the sponsorship worked out. And he was showing me the camera, and I said, that's actually pretty cool. The camera quality is pretty good and that kind of thing. So I contacted Andre and I asked him, what should I put there? And he went straight for the Sony ZV-E10. It sounds great. But again, with the Sony ZV-1, I have an issue with size in the fold-out screen. So I could not look at that. As much as I really appreciate Andre's opinions and I really wanted to get that one, I said I got to have something that sits back farther with a wider, and I know I could go for a really wide lens, but still I wanted to have it a little bit farther back because I would have to get a fixed focus lens, and then I'd have to zoom in exactly where I wanted it to go. So I decided, I also saw Tom Buck's video on the Insta360 Link, and I said, you know what, there might be something about that. So I asked Andre about that, and he mentioned it. And so I said, you know what, since he doesn't have any experience with it, I want to get someone else's, someone else that might dive deeper or compare it to us some other things, because that's the only one I really knew, and I did not know about it before, a couple of days before the Epic live stream. So I did a couple of comparisons, because Tom also mentioned to me the Elgato face link, something like that. And so I did a search on YouTube for a comparison between the two cameras, and I found a channel, and I got to find the name of it because it's something different. And I tell you, the dude is really, he has very much my style, that he pulls no punches. He is not afraid of just calling it like it is, even if the people don't like, what they say about it. He will do it. And so, where is his channel? His channel is called, where is it? Oh, subscriptions right there. Okay. It's called Bad Intent. Bad Intent, that's one word, Stream Tech Reviews. So, and his channel, he's very knowledgeable. He's, I tell you, I looked at watched a bunch of his videos, and I said, wow, this dude, I like his take on that. So what I did is I then started watching a bunch of his videos, and at one point in the comparison of watching his face cam, his Elgato face cam video versus the Insta360 Link, I saw his comparison, and he said, but these these aren't the best on the line. In my opinion, there's another one that I'm going to be testing soon. I said, really? What is that one? So I looked through for newer videos, and I found one. And it's the Kaio Pro Ultra. That thing has a very big image sensor. I don't need a swivel or anything like that. Once I set it, it's going to be good to go. But I tell you, the thing is extremely powerful. Also, sometimes and I'm glad this didn't happen with Sean, but this happened with some of the other video people I was seeing online, is that the Insta360 Link actually kind of, it locks up and it freezes. And I didn't want to have it freeze because a lot of the time I'm not watching my screen when I do a presentation video or a live stream. I don't want it frozen up there. So I didn't want to run the risk of that. And so I decided to buy the Kaio Pro Ultra, and the reviews of those it's stellar. So I have that coming soon. So supposedly it's top of the line webcam, and it looks like a mirrorless camera. I saw comparisons of that versus the ZV-1. There are differences, but I tell you, the dynamic range is outstanding, and I'm gonna definitely not second guess or look back. It's gonna be a lot better than this thing. Anyway, I've talked way too long about camera. A live class would be great. Okay, hey Doc, great to see you. All right, where am I? Okay, hey, so, oh, okay, I already done that with Brett. I'm so sure, I guess that's supposed to say season 6 will be the last of Cobra Kai. Well, they even said that. I binged all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones in 2 weeks. Yeah, Wilhelm scream is only acceptable in a Family Guy episode. Not even then, in my opinion. Had to switch from my computer to my phone. Well, thanks for coming back here. Alan, I haven't had a chance to see your Deity Slate review. I will when I get the chance, but I am curious, what are your overall thoughts? Also, I'm on the fence between that one or the Ambient. Well, it's different. Oh, Todd's in here. Todd had me out for a few days this week. Thanks very much also for joining the membership, Todd. I noticed that a couple of days ago. Thanks for doing that. Todd is a sound mixer that I worked with recently on Gotham Knights, and I also have had the pleasure of working with him on Doom Patrol, and I did a week and a half with him on the menu last year. I've worked with him throughout the years, but Todd's a great guy. He's extremely knowledgeable. Geez, the guy's brilliant. I'm not just saying that because he's in here, but I tell you, I'm really happy to have him on Team Sound Speeds. Anyway. What are my overall opinions? Different types of, I mean, they're both very accurate. Ambient comes at things a little bit differently than Deity. Deity basically, well, Ambient, for example. And Todd has the system. He can probably tell you about it. But Ambient transmits time code from a master clock to all the other, the other units that are basically looking to the master clock for maintaining sync. And it constantly does this. So if it goes out of range, But you also have the ability to look at the battery life, so you can say, oh, there's the battery on like slate number 2, or not slate number 2, but like the sync box number 2 or something like that is running low, or it's, you'll see different messages on it. And it's very, very easy to jam, and just you toss it close to set, and it's great. A lot of mixers I know use it. DD's approach is different. They have a very, very highly accurate temperature compensated crystal oscillator, and they rely on that to keep an accurate time code. And in my testing, it was accurate to within 1 frame for 30 plus hours, which is more than any show you're ever want to be on, probably by a factor of 3. But what they basically do is is when you hit jam on it, it will turn on and it will transmit everything to the different other sync boxes, and then it will stop. Once it's jammed, it will stop transmitting, and it will go into just, it's not going to be affected. It's not going to affect your RF in the air. It's not going to affect your Wi-Fi. It's not going to be interfering with anything else constantly. It's not going to be more RF congestion. So there's different approaches there. That's Deity's approach. And it is, it's very accurate. The ambient stuff is also very accurate. It just depends on what you want it to go. And there's a few other things to it than that. The build quality is a little different. It's the ambient ones are a lot slimmer. They like the Deity ones are just like a square block, and all the time code stuff is able to fit down into a little bitty TC1 size thing, and the rest of it is the backlit display and that kind of thing. But with ambient, it doesn't have all of the same kind of mechanisms on the inside the Deity does. So it's very, very, it's like this bar at the top where it keeps all the time code and transmission, little antenna off the top, and then the rest of it is a flat thing. So you can actually take 2 of them and put them on top of each other, and it takes like barely over, the space of 1. It's like a little bit more, like 1 1/4, 1 1/3, something like that, the size of a regular a Deity slate, because a Deity you have to lay it on top of itself, and it's full thickness both times, plus the screws that stick up, and the screws on the ambient one are also recessed. So there's a lot to them. It just depends on your thoughts and opinions on that. But I definitely say check out the the Deity review that I did, because I spent a lot of time on that. There's details. There's a cameo from someone that you would recognize in that, and then there's a lot of tests that you won't see anybody else do online. So I also give it a stress test. And I'll say no more about that. So go check it out. Okay, is there a class available on Patreon, or do you have to be a member? There is not a class available. There's only one class I've ever taught on YouTube. I've taught over 40 classes in person. I've taught, over 40 classes to union people through my union, and then I've gone and talked to colleges and high schools and that kind of stuff too. But no, there's not a class available for members or for Patreons. One thing I did do is if you were a Patreon supporter or you were a channel member and you wanted to buy one of the SoundSpeed's cables at a discount, I do offer a discount to channel members for that. But there's only one cable left. It's an 8-footer, and so that's the only one that I have plans to make in any time in the future. So if that is something that interests you and you want to be the person that buys the last one, send me an email at alan@soundspeeds.us, and I can get you that cable this week. But anyway, so I do not have any classes other than the overview of the sound utility, which is basically an outline. It outlines everything. It goes into a little bit of detail, but not nearly as detailed as Patricia's book does, because she breaks it down as a job. I broke it down as before, beginning of day procedure, and then throughout the day, and then end of day procedure, what utility responsibilities are, how you interact with a sound mixer and a boom operator, and then I showed a bunch of pictures, answered questions from the people that were watching the class and participating live. So there you go. But no, those classes are not available at a for free if you're a channel member or a patron. No. You do have an option after like 1 or 2 months, whatever it was. You can buy it at a discount if you want, but you can't join and then instantly get the discounts or whatever. So my bad, I didn't remember the black background in the first studio tour. Now this is gray. I hope it's not showing up as black on screen, but this is actually a gray background. This just goes to show I'm a sound guy, because it is boring background, just gray. But hey, it's not pretty, but it is there, and it sounds very, very quiet. It's very, very. I mean, if I screamed right now, I'd wake up the house. Well, I'd at least wake up my youngest daughter, and my family would probably say, "What's going on?" But it's dead quiet in here. And not just because I'm using, processing and stuff with my DBX286S. It's because this room is actually very, very quiet by nature. The house is quiet. We're far away from the interstate, and we're in a very quiet house. It's all brick. So, and it has good air. So airflow is very, very quiet. So anyway. And then here's the comment from Todd. Hey, Alan, love your channel. Besides more epic live streams, I love to see a new studio tour. Is that though? Wait a minute. Oh, he's repeating. I was going to say, I could have sworn I'd seen that. Alan, we received the PodTrack P4. We haven't used it yet, but we definitely will. Thanks again for hooking us up, Sean. Sean is actually in here. I happened to see his name a moment ago. So in the pews, Sean is definitely down here. Taylor Sharp, message retracted. Travis Peterson, I will be watching always. Just be quiet. But just quiet. Okay. I can read, I promise. I finally broke my day play only rule and accepted my first run of a show. Knee deep in prep, feeling ready, but any advice you have is always welcome. Well, it depends on the kind of show. It depends on what you're doing, man. And if you want to talk, I think you have my phone number. I might be mistaken, Travis. I think you have my phone number, and if not, shoot me an email, and I'll definitely talk to you about it if you have any questions about it. If it's too intimidating or something like that, or if you have any questions, rather, I'm sure you're going to be fine. You're not going to be intimidated by it. I mean, even if it is something that's different than what you're used to, you're going to be fine. So, sound is so much easier. That's why I always PA on set. Well, let's see here. It's not low res. It's Sony's Beautify filter, which is on by default. What Beautify filter? This is, I'll tell you this, the standard look of this thing was garbage. So I turned it on Vivid, and then I kind of did a little bit in the thing. I have an external monitor I set up over here, and I tweaked the thing to to look as good as it possibly could. I went through like all the settings. I looked up all over the internet trying to find things, but the Beautify filter, I don't know if that's on the A5000. This camera is like 8-10 years old, whatever it is. It's not great. And there's no filters that's on right now. And if there's a Beautify filter on this thing right now, it's not doing its job because this still doesn't look great. As it was said by earlier today on the Curtis Judd's live stream, you know, I do have a face for radio. I can definitely acknowledge that. Hi, by the way. Hello, Woat. Todd Weaver, a live class would be great. Yeah, you're just repeating it. You're being a troll. Whoop. I am using pink noise. Okay. Is using pink noise okay for gain staging? Why? No, you don't want to use pink noise for gain staging. It's not its purpose. You would use pink noise for more keeping a coaxial test speaker warm when you're doing microphone measuring or something like that. You use it for calibrating speakers, that kind of thing. You're not going to use it for gain staging. You want to hear the actual sound that you're recording as part of your gain stage. So like this microphone right here. If I put pink noise to it right here, or if I put pink noise as a signal generator, it's not going to be the same thing as my voice, the way it's going to be picked up from this microphone. If I have a pink noise generator and I go straight in here, mic level, it would have to be, and it goes through the system, it's not going to really help anything. What you need to do is talk into something, set your level appropriately. Some people say they're mixing for like -12 dB as a rule that you usually hear people go for. Some people will mix hotter than that. Todd, I think you mixed for what was it? Did you tell me at one point it was like -6? Todd actually has the skill to mix hotter and without peaking his levels out and blowing things out. So he does that. Other people I know will mix and go for -15 or -18. With the noise floors that you run into on a lot of common recorders, it's not going to be an issue with the EINs as low as they are. So, I mean, you could easily mix with that much headroom if you really want to. You can. So, Todd. Hilarious. So, but no, don't use pink noise for your gain staging. Use the actual sound source that you're recording. The Insta360 link is really small, basically the size of a webcam, and it has a zoom, yeah. Elgato is half the price of Instant360. Nice. I've been looking for a webcam for my main computer, and I didn't want to lay it out another $300, especially since it's Linux and won't run the software. Yeah. Thanks for the Adobe AI video. I've used it to salvage a podcast for mine. Sure. Now, there was a couple of people that noticed that my audio seemed off in the video I released this last Monday, 6 days ago. And that was the video that I did talking about this. And if you didn't watch it, go watch it. And I'm not going to tell you what that was. But I did decide that I could have used the on-camera microphone, or I could use this microphone. And I decided to use this microphone and see what it did to my voice. It did not do very good things to my voice. Now, if your audio is garbage, it's terrible, and you're trying to salvage something, absolutely, it would be better than what you probably have. If it's too bad to really extract out really good signals out of it with isotope or something like that, then I saw Todd pop up there. I do not use ambient. I'm happy the Betso ecosystem. I got rid of Facebook, and I still use Messenger app. The Betso system, that's right. That's what Todd uses. The ambient was another mixer I was working with this last week. No, it was the week before. Sorry, I'm confusing my mixers. Sorry, Todd. You know the mixer that I worked with, and sorry about that. Todd is nothing like the other one. Anyway, yeah, he uses the ambient. So sorry. But yes, the Todd's Betso system is very similar. It's very similar to the ambient. Let me take a sip of water here and regroup, because I just confused two mixers that I don't want to confuse. not confusing the mixers, confusing their gear. You can tell I'm like focused so much on certain things and not others. So there you go. But yeah, glad that the Adobe AI video and you know, but that's the thing is that in my video, I did use it. I wasn't very, very pleased with the results. And that's the reason why near the end of it, I did say that I wasn't overly thrilled by it. So there you go. Yeah, I agree. The Adobe AI was cool. Have you done any sound projects for 360 VR videos? Any recommendation on using a lav mic or other mics with Insta360 camera? No, I have not done any videos that involve 360 cameras yet. I would not be against them. I do know that 360 cameras do have a stitch line. Excuse me. And what you try to do is hide the microphone. Like there's if someone's standing there talking, for example, you don't have to have a 360. All right, you don't have to have a 360 camera literally facing you. It could be off axis, or it could be completely this way. If it's this way and it's falling along the stitch line, like right there, for example, then you can sometimes hide things along that stitch line depending on the settings of the camera and depending on the camera. But if it's facing someone like this, you're not going to have a stitch line. So what you might need to do is if the person is like here, like I'm on your screen right now, you might put the stitch line just off side where it's not clipping off my shoulder. But at the same time, you might want to then put hidden in that stitch line a very thin stand with a shotgun microphone or some sort of a microphone pointed at you. So you can quite literally use it if you want to and hide a line and hide a camera right next to where the actor is or right next to whoever the person is presenting. And I've seen many videos about that online. I've never done one personally. I do know the theories behind them, but you know, that's what you do with the 360 cameras. You hide mics in the stitch line. So you have to be aware that like if the person's looking this way, you don't want to put the stitch line over on this side because you want to put the stitch line on this side unless they're facing someone else and they're talking, in which case are they handing something over from one person to the next, in which case it might make a really weird line if they cross the stitch line. So, I mean, you just have to kind of figure things out and how you want to do it. There are ways of doing it where instead of having a stand coming up from the ground, you have a stand arming over and then dropping down. So you'd have to have a stand and then it goes horizontal and then you could drop down from there. So there's different ways, like a hangman. You can do it if you want to. There's different ways of doing it. But if you can hide something in a stitch line, you do it. But no, I have never actually worked on one of those projects. I do know a lot of the theories behind them, though. Alan, I emailed you a link to a video showing how to disable skin smoothing on Sony cameras. Cool. It works with an A5100 and newer. No, it doesn't. And sorry to say that doesn't help because this is a 5000, not a 5100. That's the problem. Is the 5000 is a different creature than the 5100. So a lot of the fixes I found for things are for the 5100 and beyond. And actually, when I talked to Eldest later, he was like, well, he said to me, I have the 5100. I recommended the 5000 because I've seen them really, really cheap. The difference is the 5000 versus the 5100 are two totally different creatures. Like you actually have the appropriate frame rates on the 5100, but not on the 5000. So if you get the 5000, you got to either go at 60 FPS or you got to go at 24. I don't like the jitteriness of the 24. I don't like the lack of detail. It's basically, to me, it's like the equivalent in the microphone world would be like the newer NW700. It'll get you an image. It'll get you something. It's by no means great, in my opinion. Plus, the moron I bought it from decided he was going to clean off the actual image sensor. He removed the lens, and he then took what looked like, I don't know if it was a wet wipe or what, but he circled around the image sensor. So when I got it, there was crusty crap all over it. And I looked at it and says, are you kidding me? So I got really frustrated, but you know what? I'm not going to sit there and blast. I did put it in my review on eBay because I bought it from eBay. I did not give him negative feedback because he was on top of it. He just didn't know what he didn't know. So I ended up getting a lens cleaning kit for the purpose. I basically, to try to make a $200 camera work, I've spent how much on this stupid thing? You know, probably another 150. I shouldn't have done that. But that's the way I do things. Try to make it work if I can, and then I just get frustrated and then say, okay. Anyway, this camera is gonna go live on my shelf over there. Unless someone wants to buy it from me, in which case, fine. I'll gladly make you a deal on it. I did, get it back in perfect working order as well as this thing could be. And when I say perfect, it's perfect in quotes, because the image sensor is still, I'm sure, a little bit not happy from the treatment it got before me. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, so unfortunately, it's not going to help me. There is no Beautify filter that would work on this camera. What's in the pews? Okay, so you saw, yeah. All right, it's Todd Weaver. I would love to connect and talk about the ambient slate. Are you on social media? Okay, that's where why he said that. Thanks for all your content. I came from a production music mixing world, and your videos really made the transition smooth. Oh, you got the A5000. I misheard you. Yeah. I do not use ambient. Okay, that's that quote. The Kantar has tons of headroom. It just kisses the reds on the Dante gains and proper gain staging all the way. Yeah. Betso is the other one I'm looking at. Does it use regular nickel? Oops, my mouse is in the way. I think you meant nickel metal hydride AA, or what batteries does it use? Nickel metal hydrides work great. Slates, locket boxes last for a couple of days on freshly charged batteries. Betso AA. What's the best microphone, Alan? Curtis Judd. Curtis, you gonna come and troll me some? He's Curtis. If you did not watch his stream earlier from today, it was kind of funny. His guest today, it was Jude from Audio Buff, and it was really funny because at one point, he said he heard about Curtis from Alan over at Sound Speeds, and then said I don't want to give him too much credit. It was really funny because you have to go watch the stream. It was funny. But he even referenced my face made for radio there, which was awesome. You see Curtis actually laughs at that one. He actually just kind of like, he's going there. He is. That's fine. It's funny. It's true. I say the same thing. Face made for radio. Anyway, so the most important. Oh, okay. What's the best microphone, Alan? In my opinion, DPA 4017B. I love that microphone, but that's not the best microphone. That's just my favorite. There is no best. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Hello, Jeff. Curtis is here. Hi, Curtis. The most important gain staging is the preamp, which is the transmitter. Once it is dialed in, you have to be a bonehead to screw it up in the digital gain stages. That's true. That is true. Chris said, welcome to the stream. Do you have a mic in mind for the 2023 Yule log? No, I do not. So if you have any suggestions, as we know, I use the Electro Voice EV664, the one that I put through all of the different stress tests. I used that one for the very first 2020 Yule log. And that was the last time I was allowed to do a Yule log inside the house in the fireplace, because it gagged my family and made the house smell bad for a month, which is why, if you watch the collaboration I did with Andre at Worth or Not, the April Fool's video I did for 2021, where we I stress test a VG microphone. That one, if you look at that, you'll hear, no more microphone experiments in the house. The last one stunk up the house for a month. You hear my wife say that. The reason why is because it did. I cooked the Electro Voice EV664 in the fireplace, and it did fry up the internals, and it made the house smell terrible. So I did it, I think, like the day or two after Christmas. So of course she worked so hard. She got the house smelling great. It smelled like freshly, made pastries and turkey, and it had all this wonderful smell to it, and the candles, and it smelled all fresh and festive, and the Christmas tree and everything like that. And then I go and burn a microphone in the fireplace and stink the house up. So I'm amazed she still lets me live in the house. I really am. But after that one, I had to get a fire pit for the second annual Epic Livestream Yule log. And so that's when I did the Blue Yeti. And then for this last year, I used the newer NW700. So if you have a suggestion, if anybody would like to, if you want to start a chat right now and talk about potential microphones I could use for the Epic live stream, well, it wouldn't be part of the Epic live stream episode or season 4th annual Epic live stream for the year 2023, which we will do. We're in 2023, right? Yeah. Yeah, because today is, at the time I'm recording this, it's 12223 or 1222023. So anyway, if you have a suggestion for the annual Yule log, absolutely, I would love to take it. The most hated microphones basically are the NW700 for condenser and the Blue Yeti for the USB. So I am open to suggestions if anybody has one. So let's see. I'm all wireless these days out of necessity. Yeah. So, and he is. And I tell you, ooh, I actually talked to Todd. It was on Doom Patrol. I talked about coming out and doing a video of your system, because Todd has a really wicked system. So I won't get into it really right now, but I'll tell you this right now. If you want to talk about wireless, Todd can literally be in a office 400 feet away from set and know everything that's going on, have perfect picture, have everything going. Wireless is peaking the meters out. Everything is great. Wireless video and everything. There's one cable that goes back to him. How? Well, if you want to see a video where with Todd and me talking to Todd about his system and stuff like that, ask him. Ask him. He's here in the chat, unless he's left in the past couple of minutes, because that's something that I was going to do a few months ago, and I would definitely love to do that. It'd be a lot of fun. Have you used the Sennheiser 816? I have, and it is very directional. It's very long. They used to use it on preambulator booms when they would have to get a microphone way high overset, and it was like the Fisher booms, the Mole Richardson preambulator booms is what they're called, where you have a machine, the boom operator sits on it and operates a couple of wheels and stuff like that. The arm goes in and out. They can move around the microphone on the end, but those had to fly very high overset. In more recent years, usually it's more like the Shep CMC, or not CMC, CMID 5U is usually what's used now, or something along those lines. But it used to be an 816 was a popular choice to have on those, because you need to have that reach. I think I read someplace that if you talk too close to it, it has more functionality like a hypercardioid, but with a lot of bass, if memory serves. I got to remember where I've referenced that a few times, but I got to find that again. It might have been in one of the documentations that I read on Sennheiser's website. But basically, if you talk straight into it and you're too close, you're a proximity effect central. You have to get that thing far away for it to actually sound decent. And that's the reason why, I mean, the whole MKH sound, you know what that sounds like. It's very, very, it has a very specific sound to it. Well, that MKH 816 has more bass, more extended bass, and it's designed for you to be farther away and have that MKH sound from a few feet away. So it's also not forgiving. If you are off axis, if you come in from straight overhead, straight down, you're probably going to sound a little bit off axis. You need to be in front of them a little bit more and angle back, because it's very easy for someone who's talking, just generally talking, for your nose to actually cover up a little bit of the sweet spot of their mouth. And an A16 is already a little bit thinner of a microphone because it's a long shotgun and you have to use it from farther away. So you have to cue back ever so slightly if you're going to use it. Otherwise, you could run into some issues with it sounding a little bit thinner than it should, even if you're square straight over top of somebody. So there's a technique to it. Okay. If he doesn't behave, I'll put him on my A16 next time. You know what? A16's a fine mic. I'll be with you again on Monday, Todd. Not tomorrow, Monday, but Monday the 30th. And if you want me on an A16, I will do it. I will do it for you. Hi, Diesel 10 and Stefan. Okay, that's Curtis. Todd, okay. Have you used the Rode Wireless Go? No, I haven't. Or the Go 2? No. all right, here's the thing. I don't have a reason to buy any more gear. I don't want more gear. You've heard me say this before in the past. I have too much gear as it is. I don't want to just start selling it all. I don't want to just give it all away to get rid of it. It's like I'm in this weird spot where if I want to use it for a video, I will if I've reviewed it. Sure, I could easily get rid of it and sell it. I know content creators that sell gear periodically to make more room. If I were smart, I would do that. But instead, what I do is I have a whole bunch of storage containers right over there behind the studio, behind this acoustic treatment, and I just have a bunch of things in there. So if I still have to have it to review, it's out and on the top shelf over there, or it's down here someplace. If I don't have it on one of those, then it is in storage. As soon as I finish a review, it usually goes into storage unless I want to use it for something. Some things I find very, very helpful, like the DAD BP TRX. I know how to make that thing work for me, and so when I record on that, I basically just use it as a recorder. If I use it as a transmitter/recorder, then it buzzes. It makes that noise that you saw in my review. I'm not happy with it there, but if you put it in record only mode, it's fine if you can get over the elevated noise floor, which you've seen my videos where I talk about how don't nitpick the noise floor of those of recorders like that, because you can easily get out that noise. It's a constant. It's electronic. You can easily knock that out, as well as you can preamp noise. It's the environmental noises of the world around you need to really worry about. And everything else is easily processed out in today's workflow, especially if you're loud like me. So I use that. I have the HDTX out if I need to do anything with field recording or something like that with an XLR microphone. If I need to, I can also run the Mix Pre 6 out. One thing that I've thought about getting would be just for field use would be if I were to get if I got a Mix Pre 10, I would make that live on the desk here and I'd turn the Mix Pre 6 into a field recorder. Or I thought about getting a Zoom F6 or an F8N just for field recording. Do I need to have more gear though? No. So I can use the Mix Pre 6 if I'm doing an audio quality comparison or something like that. If I'm doing field recording for something and it's not audio quality focused, like when I did the Movo UHF recently, I used the Mix Pre 6 for all that audio because I did not want to use something and then going into the DAD and then have any elevated noise floors and stuff like that from the DAD, because it's nowhere near as clean as the sound devices. So if I'm doing something and it's quality based and you're listening to it, I'll use the Mix Pre. If I'm not doing something like that and I'm just doing field recording and I'll be processing the audio later, I'll use the DAD HDTX if I use it with an XLR microphone, or if I'm recording on a lav, I'll usually use something like I've been using the twin plexes. I need to do the review of the TL 47 and 48. I need to finally review them. And what's funny is I've used them for so many for months, actually over a year now on videos. And it sounds so good. And it doesn't need to be a complicated review. I could probably do the whole review in a matter of a few minutes. It doesn't need to be one of these 30-minute long videos. I don't need to go out into the field and do a whole bunch of recording with it, because the thing is, lavs basically sound the same with background noise in all the different environments. Some are going to be better at background noise than others. But you're not gonna. But the main focus is, how does it sound right here? How does it sound if it's sideways? How does it sound if it's downwards? If you want to do the whole stupid YouTuber thing and hold it up and talk into it like it's a regular microphone, I can do that too. But I don't need to make the review complicated. I might do it like here and then exterior, and that's about it. Because most of the time, if you do it in a noisy environment, people are going to be talking over it. And it's going to be fine. If you use it in news, so be it. It's going to be fine. If you use it on a noisy set, you kind of deserve anything you get if you have a location that's that noisy. But I don't have to probably make that one very complex. I might just do some audio comparisons, talk about all the different videos I've used it for, and every time I've used it in a video, no, not everyone. Many of the videos I've used, I have not had to do processing on. It just naturally sounds good. I've never had to EQ it. So I'll probably just do that and get that review. I don't want to say get it done, but it would be getting it done. It would be getting it out, because When I first started using it, I was like, wow, this thing really is awesome. And then I continued to use it. And I was like, I need to do the review of it. But I just could not bring myself to continue to do it. I was like, do I want to do anything more with this? It doesn't need it, but do I need to? It doesn't need it. And I keep saying to myself, it doesn't need to be a complex review, because the fact of the matter is, it's very, very good. It's very, very clean. It's very well made. It's rugged where you want it to be. It sounds great. And really, it's so simple. Just like I have a Pandemic Maxi that I've had for almost a year now that they sent me to review. And I thought about, do I need to make that a complex review? Fact of the matter is, I don't. That could be probably the shortest boom review I've probably ever done, because it is so simple. It is just this, and it does this. And there's no bells and whistles. It's not modular, because you can't cable them. It's just what it is. And they've done the same formula, and they've used it the same way for a long time now. It's a solid boom, especially in the era where everybody's going wireless on boom poles. So I should probably, I don't want to say get that one out too, but I could probably go ahead and write it or finish writing that one, and review it and actually get the review out, because it doesn't need to be complicated. So many times I make things complicated when I don't need to, and then I always have to pull back and simplify when a product deserves to be to have more in depth to it. Like going back to the Movo recently, it's a very simple thing. You turn the thing on and it says, okay, it's automatic gain on the transmitters, but you can set your channel. It doesn't tell you the frequency. It tells you channel 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's no gain. On the receiver, it has a gain, but that's a gain for the output. So you have that, and then you have basically like channel there as well. And then you have mono or stereo going out. If it's mono going out, you'll take it to an XLR. If it's stereo going out, you're going to go to a TRS, and it's going to go into your mirrorless or DSLR, something like that, or through a TRS 1/8 inch 3.5 millimeter. But that video, it's a very simple device, except for the fact that if you want to use a UHF transmitter, you have to be aware of what transmitting the UHF band actually means. Pros frequency coordinate in the UHF band, so you should as an amateur, and that's why I said it in the video. So in order to do that review properly, I had to do the range test, but then I also decided to do the to dive deeper, and I actually decided I was going to show you how to frequency coordinate on a budget for that Movo system. You're not going to use the wireless designer. You're not going to use wireless workbench along with some other program that you license for $300. You're not going to do that. So you use TX Advance in an app, and you use the antennas, and you're going to make that work and work very well for you. But then also I answered a question about battery life and how people were complaining constantly because they're not pros. They don't understand that you can get good quality stuff and it still be very economical. People just did not spend money where they should on the batteries. And so they're like, this thing burned through batteries like crazy. Well, it's a wireless, transmitter and receiver. It's going to go through batteries in a few hours. And if you use cheap batteries, because most of the time, if you're going to use a cheap wireless transmitter and receiver combination with a lav for barely over $100 per channel, it's going to be inexpensive, and it's going to probably burn through batteries quick if you put through a cheap battery, which most likely you're going to if you're trying to be budget minded with your wireless. So what I did is I wanted to heavy hit the main focus there that I've seen online, which was people, because obviously once I presented the information I was going to regarding the Movo, I did not need to really, it's not going to sound, I said it's going to serve you fine as a content creator. It's going to serve you fine on your projects. It's definitely not pro, so I didn't even need to go there. I basically just said it's going to work fine for you if you're a content creator. You can make it work. I EQ'd it at the end, and I put the graphic up on the screen saying I was EQing it to show you that even with simple EQ inside of DaVinci Resolve, only just making it a little bit of a smiley face, it brought out bass where it wasn't there before, and it brought out a little bit of detail on the highs. And then the rest of it you could process out if you wanted to, even though I didn't do any of the noise for processing or anything like that in the video. It would not be very difficult to do. So I decided to focus mainly on doing the range tests and stuff like that through things and line of sight which is the typical stuff I would do. But then I decided to do a couple of things to help people get better channel utilization of the wireless units, how to frequency coordinate basically, and then how to use better batteries for it that are still going to be, they're going to save you a lot of money. So there you go. That's what I did. But I have a few other systems and a few other things I need to review here. So I'll get around to those too. I'm terrible. I'm surprised to hear that y'all have fireplaces in Georgia. Why? Why, Sean? We need to have fireplaces here. We got to grill up things. We got to cook things. We do have, all right, the joke here is in Atlanta, we have Hotlanta in the summer and we have Hothlanta in the winter. Hoth being the frozen land from Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. But the thing to keep in mind is that like it will literally be in the 70s one day in Atlanta, and the next day it will be in the 40s. And then the next day it'll be in the 30s. Then the next day it'll drop into the teens. And then 2 days later again, it will be in the 70s again. Like when you saw the video I did of the DD time code in cold weather that was done in the tail end of 2023 or the early 2023 or late 2022. Can't remember exactly when, but you see that video. In that video, we had temperature drop down to 5 degrees. And so I was able I put a bucket of water out there and it completely froze over when I flipped it upside down, and it was a block of ice. Thought about doing that and putting the deity on that for the bucket of ice, but the last thing in the world I'd want to have happen is do that, walk away from it, have the temperature raise overnight, it turn into water, and then all of a sudden it's going to be a water submersion test in frozen water, no less, or freezing water. So I decided not to do that. So yeah, that was the thing I did. But yeah, so there you go. Talked too long about that. Fireplaces you use for those cold days. We have humidity here, so it's chilly. I'll make a video of Billy can be the cameraman. Oh, Todd, that would be awesome. Hopefully Billy's going to be there for you tomorrow, man. Hopefully you followed up with him and he'll be there. Todd Weaver, do you have a YouTube channel? He does have a channel, and he has a really cool, I talked about how intelligent he is. He has a channel where he rebuilt his, I think it was grandfather's amplifier or something like that. Really awesome. I've talked about it before in other videos. LTT had a video in which he tried to use a spare A16 as a WFH mic, I believe. Very painful video to watch. WFH? LTT, I don't know who that is. Oh, Linus Tech Tips, I guess. Try to use a 416 as a WFH. Somebody posted a picture, either in my Discord or someplace, that I saw of Linus using an A16 at his desk, literally this far away from his mouth, and he was editing or something like that. It was ridiculous. And I think I said I think my response to that is he's an idiot. I think that was my Discord now that I think about it. My YouTube channel has some silly stuff, but one tube amp repair video, maybe one day. His tube amp repair video is the one I'm talking about. I think he released that during the shutdown of 2020. It was really awesome. Very well done. You see him solder, you see him testing things, you see him basically fix this thing. It's amazing. I know I'd be really interested in seeing that video. I've been going back through all of the sound cart tour Kim Callan does for Ursa, yeah. She doesn't do a lot of that anymore, I don't think. I think she moved. And since she moved, I don't think she's in the hub of LA anymore where all that stuff happens. Alan, I have a microphone that you could use for the April Fool's Day and or Yule log. Do you have a P.O. box? Brett, send me an email at alan@soundspeeds.us and let's talk about it. I already know what I'm going to do for April Fool's Day this year. Actually, maybe that microphone, whatever you send me, it might play into that. Send me an email at Alan, A-L-L-E-N, not A-L-A-N, It's ALLEN at soundspeeds.us. In the bottom of every one of my videos in the description, you have my email address. You can send an email to that, or even on older videos where it says soundspeeds@yahoo.com, that one works too. The really weird thing is if you send me an email to the soundspeeds@yahoo.com, it comes in on my phone, and if I reply to it, it sits there in the outbox until it decides it's going to send at some random time. If I hit dismiss on it because it says it's still in the outbox, it's still in the outbox, I'm like, yeah, that's fine, dismiss. I hit dismiss, and then sometimes it sends instantly. Sometimes it sends in like an hour or two. It's really weird. So send me an email at alan@soundspeeds.us, and it will pop up instantly. Because I would like to hear what the microphone is and those details. Don't talk about it now, but let's talk about that. Rode LTT used the Rode NTG8, which makes no sense for closed booming in case it was live streaming. Okay, so that's what it was. Okay, someone needs to send me that link or put it in the Discord if you're on my Discord, because I saw him do that and it says it doesn't sound good. I would need to just watch this. I don't ever watch Linus's videos, so I don't want it to start recommending them to me. So I'm gonna open an incognito browser and I'm gonna go and actually find it. So I'll go and watch it through an incognito browser, because the last thing I want YouTube to start doing is saying, watch Linus Tech Tips. I have zero interest in that. I understand he does a lot of fun content. It's just not my interest. Okay, thanks for the 150 ohms IEN preamp measurement videos, Alan. Curtis and Julian, I made a couple of adapters and checked the preamps of my UCX2. I think it also helped with checking my cables. Very good. I used it, it's this right here. It's this adapter. I used this one in that video recently where I tested the Cable Matters, the Amazon Basics, and the, what's the other one? I tested another cable, another one of those discount brands. It was like $10, $11 per cable. Cable Matters, Monoprice. And yeah, someone had told me it was Monoprice when I said it was Monoprice, and someone corrected me at one point, says, no, you're saying it wrong. It's Monoprice, P-R-I-S-E. And I'm like, okay, that's the way it's pronounced. Fine, I'll start saying that. So there, of course, I released all these videos talking about the Monoprice cables, and, you know, it's like one price, makes sense. But I then took that one person who told me that and made like 3 videos about it, calling the Monoprice, and people kept saying in my comments, I thought you were joking, but you've done multiple videos calling it Monoprice, so I'm going to clarify for you, it's Monoprice. I'm like, man, I should not have listened to someone on the internet. RME is plus 0.1 dB to their published price. I don't know what that is a reference to. What is RME? RME is plus 0.1 dB to their, what are you talking about? Oh, the UCK2. Oh, okay. I need to actually look at the comment that you wrote right above that. Hello, Linda. Linda, did you ever get the thing? Did you ever get the quick release? I'm curious to see if you got it and if you put it into workflow. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Okay. And then, oh, there you go. Very good. Righto. Okay. So, should all sound for TV and film unions unite like Cameras 600? That way, everybody should be can be getting West Coast rates. People in New Mexico make a lot of what we make half of what we make on the West Coast. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say to that. It would be nice. It would be really, really nice if we could do that. I would personally love to see 695 be the overall, because when you look at it, camera utilities that basically run and shuttle a battery here or there, or grab food for someone from Crafty, those people make more than boom operators. Is that something that we should care about? Well, technically it's a different department, and camera is very much taken care of. IATSE Local 600. Does someone who just gets food for people, glorified waiter, or, to a certain degree, or runs and shuttles media, or runs and shuttles this and that, or fills in for a second AC or something like that. Basically, a utility is they do busy work that the seconds and the first and whoever else doesn't want them to. So it's one of those things where I would personally like to see 695 take over for all of America, or make it international. The thing is, though, there's a lot of other locals that would probably pitch a fit about it. I'm part of Local 479, which is one of the largest mixed locals there is, and there's a lot of very skilled sound people that are part of it. You would have to, it would basically be 479 would have to get rid of the sound or agree to give up sound. I don't think they're going to want to do that. I don't think New York is going to want to get rid of 52 or combine forces. Locals just don't want to do that. They're not going to want to do that. So I don't know that 695 would ever be able to be the one local for all of, because I've worked with people from 478, 479, 491, 492, 52, 478. I think I already said that. I'm starting to repeat. There's a whole bunch of locals, and we all would love to see the higher rates. We absolutely would. I would love to see. Also, the retirement plan is different. You get pension and you get a what is it? You get the pension and you get the account, the lump sum payout. I think we only get one of those in all the other mixed locals. So in addition to getting lower rates, I don't even get all of the money that I would get at retirement. So yes, West Coast boom rate is 58 per hour if you are a Y8. If you are a Y4, which is whenever I work on the bigger shows here in Atlanta, I go for the Y4 rate, which is 64, 65. What is it? Whatever the Y4 is an operator. It's not a boom operator. It's what's called an operator supervisor or operation supervisor. And it's a Y4 rate because boom operator that rate was put into place when a boom operator was basically just someone that held a microphone and whatever. You have to have a lot more knowledge and a lot more skills. I don't want to make it sound like it was just boom operating back in the day. There's a lot more to it skill-wise in the modern workflows of digital and how to, the extreme. You can't do everything on a cable like you could now. You have to do some really crazy things. You have to swing multiple people. Second boom, you have to do a lot of things. A lot of the navigation around lights, like gaffers are no longer known as gaffers. They're now called chief lighting technicians because you added computer networks with digital lighting that can fire off 10,000 different cells instantly, and those are all different. So I mean, there's a whole lot of different things that have changed. And boom operator is one of those Y8 categories that, yes, it is a Y8 rate, but it is also, that's more old school. Get your boom operators a Y4 because it's a little bit closer to what they need to be making. As a Y4, it also is exactly what they need to be doing with regards to management of your set. So I think it's a great idea, and I think we have to do it exclusively in New York. I am for all it. Yeah. If we have to do it excluding New York, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I wouldn't be mind. How much is the boom rate in Atlanta? That's a conversation you should talk to me about more personally than in a live stream. What I will tell you this is it's not 58. It's I've worked on shows where I've gotten paid more than that. Most of the time though, you don't. Most of the TV shows and movie rates and stuff like that are lower than that. Most of the time, you have to work on a bigger show in Atlanta to break 50. I'll put it that way. You're usually in the 40s someplace. Okay, thank you so much. One of your reaction videos, you mentioned that you might make a boom pole holding positioning guide. Do you still plan to do that? I answered that at the beginning of this video, at the beginning of this live stream. I'm just getting into sound and want to know the best boom techniques. I did mention that at the beginning of this live stream, and I'll re-say it again, but a lot more brief. Basically put, yes, I'm working on it. I have the next 3 episodes of Sound Speeds released, or not released, but they're set for release. And there's a short that's going to be out this Thursday. There's a membership and Patreon only video that goes out a week from Thursday. And aside from that, there is what I'm going to be spending the next 2.5, 3 weeks on, since I'm between shows right now. I'm really going to try to do my portion. If you watch the Epic live stream, Petrushka Mirswa was in there, and she did break the she broke some news, and that is that the Boom book that she's working on, I'm going to be a collaborator on that. I'm working on some of that. I've already written some of it. I already have an outline of things I want. I keep adding things to the outline. I got to streamline it down, but I'm going to be writing the technique portion of the book, and I'm going to be probably, if I want to, I'm going to see how time is. I want to do a good job on the technique part, but I also want to do. There's a couple other things I would like to talk about, but I know she's pretty eager to get the thing going because she's been working on it for a long time and she wants to get it out. So I don't want to have her wait on me. So I'm going to concentrate on the technique portion that she wants me to, and then after that, I'm going to take a lot of the stuff that does not work as well in book form or that needs to be in video form, and I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that as a video series. And I don't know how I'm going to do it just yet. I'm going to have 3 different levels: beginner techniques, intermediate techniques, advanced techniques. I don't know if I want to offer. I'm probably going to put it in least, intermediate, and advanced behind a paywall. So it's going to be a class that you would have to actually purchase. Like with the Intro to Sound Utility 101 class that I did. As for beginner techniques, I might release some of them as freebies. I might release them all. I might release only like one or none. I don't know exactly what I want to do or how I want to do it yet. Part of it's going to depend on how much money I go out of pocket to do it, what my resources are going to be for it, what do I need to do, how long is it going to take to do. I can't just shoot it here in my studio. Not enough room. I can't shoot it in the house. I would need to rent a facility or something or rent something. I'm going to have to find a place to go. I have a couple of ideas. It would require paying for spaces unless I can get a friend of mine who actually owns a studio to give me a deal on it on some time that he's not there. And I have a couple of times that I'm thinking about when I want to do them, when I want to shoot it. But it is something that's in the works right now. My first priority is to try to get the boom techniques portion of Petrushka's book done. So that's my next thing. Random question. Where do you get your replacement headphone pads? I don't use replacement headphone pads. I take care of the ones that are on my head. Look up a video that I've done on Sound Speeds. It was done like over 5 years ago at this point. I think it's called, oh geez, I might just look it up because trying to get someone else to look it up for me, it's be difficult. It's called, let me see. There you go. It's right here. Okay. I'll just post a link of it. But watch this. It will explain what you need to know. I will post it right now. So you should see it in the chat. It will talk about what I use. I love actually covering up the earphones with something. So I don't use the standard covers, drive me crazy. So I have to put something over them, and that I go into that in this video. So check that one out. It's short. And cool. Okay. Thanks for your generosity. Absolutely. Oh, that's to Sean. Absolutely. I'm sure he's thrilled to that. I have the DD wireless kit. It has that buzz, broadband noise that you describe in your review. Is that something that can be cleaned up in post, or do I have to ditch DD? Well, I cleaned it up in my video. It's something like I cleaned it up when I've used the system before and I've heard that noise. I think, no, it wasn't there. I was going to say, there's a couple of videos I've used it for and I've heard that noise. Even in record only mode, there's occasionally a sound that it comes up with and it starts vibrating or buzzing or whatever. And that's annoying, but it's still, a good system for what it is. It's still a good recorder, in my opinion. I don't want to use it transmission wise in 2.4 gigahertz. I'm over that. One of the reasons why Deity is getting out of 2.4 gigahertz and they're not selling that Connect system anymore, or the interview kit. I don't know if the BPTRXs are still available right now, but I only use those as either time coders, which I don't even use, or I use them as recorders, which is what I usually use. But I will put it this way: they do have that noise, but if you gain stage it correctly and you speak properly into them, you shouldn't really have a bad issue. One of the things you can do if you want to use it as a recorder only and you're concerned about RF is you can get sleeves, little sleeves for cell phones and stuff like that are RF shielding. That it's like a I have them in my wallet actually. It's for my credit cards, but they're basically little pouches you can get that are completely RF shielded. So you can drop it in there, and that way it'll prevent RF from hitting it. So if you're having issues, you can try that. Don't try to jump over to the transmitter or try to go over to the receiver if you are using it as a transmitter, because then it's going to just basically choke out. It's not going to be able to transmit. But if you're using it in recorder only mode, that's an option you have to try to eliminate any RF that could, hit it. Yes, headphone softies. That's it. Excited to hear it. Also, I've seen some videos of people using IEMs while they're using booms, while using boom, and other people use headphones. Is there a difference? Yeah, there is. Basically, headphones. They like when you sit on they sit on your ear, so you can depending on the headphones you get, there's a comfort difference. Some people like to have the IEMs that are fitted to their ears. Some people just like to plug them in. You'll sweat differently. Your ear canal will actually sweat if you plug them up and you're in the hot weather, like hot, steamy Atlanta. Your ear canals will start to sweat on the inside. So it'll make this little suction type noise when you take them in and out sometimes. You can also get moisture inside of them, and it can affect the driver. So you need to make sure you get one that can clean properly. Headphones, the biggest issue you run into those is that if you don't wear headphone softies or something like that over it, then this on the inside here, this part here can, if it's humid, it can stick to you and then start to leave all these little black patches. Another thing is if I'm booming and I have my arms up, and if I want to hear something, I can use IEMs and just use single ear. Or I could use double ear, in which case it basically plugs up anything. If someone's behind me trying to whisper in my ear, I'm not going to hear that. If someone if I hear a noise, the headphones I use on set, I want to be able to hear through them a little bit. So I use the Sony MDR 7506s. I know there's better headphones out there for a lot of things, and they are quite bright. But what I do like about them is that you can hear through them. So if I'm booming and I hear a sound coming from that direction, I could tell it because I'm heard it through my headphones. And then at that point, I do this number, I kick it off one ear, and I'm like, okay, now I'm still monitoring in this ear, but now this ear is picking up what I'm actually listening for. So that's one of those things where, to me, I'm able to do that. And I like that. I often go around on set like this, even though when I use an IEM, I usually use it one ear too. So I personally prefer to have headphones. Now, I do use the minus on set sometimes. I do also have another brand that I use sometimes. I don't use the Bumblebee ones, the Sidekick that I reviewed, because I would use that for a guest. It's not basically designed for that kind of use. You would use it for more on-screen talent that they could plug up their ears or hear through it, something like that. But IEMs are something that you can use, or headphones. It depends on you. Some people I know only like to use the IEMs because they like to wear headwear that you can't wear the band on. I wear a K-Tech Stingray hat on set, one of the black ones, and it has cut-off holes for you to plug in, put your headphones in. And it is a little weird, because you have to kind of put them on and you have to pull through and thread it through and that kind of thing. But I like headphones better, and that hat allows me to wear it. So personally, I love the awesome Stingray hat. You're the best. Thanks. Linda, do me a favor. Shoot me a quick message because I will follow up with Sound Guy Solutions that we're supposed to be sending you that quick release. So if you shoot me a quick email, I'll follow up with them about that because it's been almost a month. No, it's been about 3 weeks since the Epic live stream, and I want to make sure he hasn't passed it off to someone to send and they haven't sent it for some reason. Liberty Dude, what is the predicted timing of your studio tour 7th edition? Geez. I'll be honest with you. When I move out of this place, I'll move sometime this year. I'm going to be using the same setup in the next house. So what I did when I moved out of my old house, I knew there was going to be a period that the video that I was going to have to release videos and to maintain a weekly video on sound speeds. I was going to have to release something, but I was going to have to get ahead a little bit. So in addition to being on a full-time show and doing regular content creation and trying to pack up as much as possible, I was shooting videos and trying to release them. Some of those I ended up not liking and I scrapped them. They're in the dead videos sound speeds folder. They're never going to see the light of day. One of them I reshot because I thought it was kind of funny, and I decided to do it as a part of the Sound Speeds podcast, actually, in the pro sound topic. But anyway, so what I'll end up doing most likely when I move to another place is I'm going to take this exact system down, put them in containers, and put them into something that's going to move up. I already have the stands, I already have everything, so it's portable. I can actually take this down and put it up in another place fairly easily. It would probably take me all of maybe an hour to take all of this down. And then it'd probably be less than that, actually. Maybe with the arm and everything, I'd have to unscrew it and stuff. It would probably be about an hour, but then including packing it all up and putting it into containers. And then once it moves to the other place, it would probably be about 2 to 3 hours to put back together. So I will do that, and I'll use this background. Now, at some point in time, I will end up buying another house, and my goal is to have a dedicated studio type room that I can shoot in and have plenty of room and that kind of thing. I want to have a big open space where I can just do things. And if I do that, I will probably redo the studio a bit again. I may end up using this exact same setup for live streams or for presentation videos where I just do things simple, but I will most likely want to do some location stuff without going outside in the hot or cold weather here in Georgia, and I would like to do that, or have people over as guests and do collaboration videos with them. I have some ideas, but I need to have more room. And so if I buy a house, I'll do that. But then that means I'll also have to set it completely up. And I'll not want to just use regular Fernie pads. I'm going to want to do my typical let's go crazy thing. We'll see what happens. I'll spend thousands of dollars doing that. And then watch what will happen is we'll end up moving out of that house in a year and I'll end up scrapping all this stuff. Terrible. Okay, so the 7th edition. I don't even know. Dude. Thank you so much. Your channel's been a big help starting out. Great. Thank you. Will do. Thank you for introducing me to ZipFizz. I've used it to reduce my soda consumption. Yeah. And I tell you, I really miss it right now. Here's what you don't know. Okay, I will go into this a little bit. I got to find what video it was first. Let me actually preface this by finding out what video it was that I shot and released. And then I will then tell the story. I got to see the release dates of my videos. And then I'll see. Okay. Which video was it that I released about that time? Survey says. Geez, I released a lot of videos in December. Wow. No, that wasn't it. Never mind. Okay. That's what it was. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to find my information. Okay, the last time I did a live stream that wasn't the Epic live stream, it was done on December 12th. The reason I did that and I did not release a regular episode was because, okay, that's what it was. I was trying to figure out what it was. But here's a little backstory to a little bit of something going on with me. I was on a show that wrapped December 12th. It was December 4th, 5th, something like that. I was at work, and all of a sudden I had a severe pain in my lower left abdomen. Lower left, not the right, because the appendix is on the right. This is the lower left. Severe pain that came on, and it was like hunch over, like shortness of breath type stuff. I was at work. Continue to fight through it. Continue to work. I was like, I'll walk it off. It'll be fine. My wife noticed that I was walking and I was breathing differently and stuff like that. And so she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." The next day I went to work and I came home and it was the same thing. It was actually a little bit worse that day. And she says, "What's going on with you?" And I told her that I was in pain. She says, you should go to the hospital. I said, "No, I'll be fine." And so another day passed. I went to work again, and the same kind of thing happened. I was still in a lot of pain. So that night, as I was coming home, this is like the third day in a row, and my wife said, "All right, you're not going here. You're going to go to the ER. No question about it. This isn't going away. It's not getting any better. You got to do this." First time I ever went to the ER. So I did that, and that was a Thursday. It was the Thursday, December 8th, I think it was. 7th, 8th, something like that. And I was in a lot of pain. I could not sit down. I could not, I mean, I could sit down and be as long as I've been lounging and relaxing, it was fine. But if I had to get up, if I had to move around, I would usually be hunched over, and it'd be like getting like an old man. It was terrible. And I went to the ER. I went overnight, took a CAT scan and stuff like that. They told me I remember what it is. I don't really want to say it out loud, but it was basically something that is extremely rare, and it goes away on its own in like 10 days. They said it's categorized as extremely painful. It's not diverticulitis, if that's what you're curious about. It wasn't that. It was something that was extremely painful, though. And basically, as soon as it passed, I went and saw a specialist, and the specialist said that you should have a certain treatment done. So that treatment is what well, not treatment, it's a certain procedure done, and that I'm going to be doing this upcoming week. So it's going to be on Tuesday, and I'm in prep for it right now. I can't have my Zip Fizz. I'm on water only right now. Water and clear liquids. So I tell you, I'm like, I don't need caffeine to stay going, but my voice, I don't know if you could tell, it's straining a little bit, because usually I have at least something here whenever I talk a whole lot that's not just water, because water is very hard on my throat. It's something I don't like the taste of. I like to add something to it. Zip Fizz makes it so much easier and so much smoother to go down. So I miss my Zip Fizz. And I'm also very hungry, because a liquid diet is not good for me. It's not what I want to do. So anyway, that I have going up. In the meantime, I'm dealing with it. But the reason why I did that live stream on December 12th, as opposed to doing a video that I released on that following Monday, was because I was not able to get the deity video down, which was the next video I released. I'd already shot for it, but I was not going to be able to get it done in time. I was not going to be able to get it edited in time. So I said, I don't want to just half-ass it and get the video out. Instead, I decided I was going to take my time with it, do things the right way. And then at that point, I said, well, I don't have enough time to actually do a video. Instead, I'll do a question. I'll do a live stream and I'll answer questions. That way I'm still doing something for people. And I also did not want to go out and shoot location footage and stuff, because I was in a lot of pain. I could sit down and if you look back at that live stream, there might be some times that I move and you might see me go, or you might have heard me talking with shallower breaths or something like that. That was because I was in a lot of pain at that time. And so I did the video. I did the live stream as opposed to doing a video that week because I was in so much pain. And I could sit there and talk, and that was fine. Speaking of talking and drinking. Water is so hard on my throat, I don't like it. But anyway, there's a bunch of information about me in the last just over a month, I guess. Month and a half ago. Still went to work, still boomed, and I'd put my game face on and be like, let's get this thing done. So I'd be like, booming, and I'd be like in pain, but still able to do it. So that's what I do. Anyway, if there's any questions or anything like that, awesome. If not, then I will call the stream. But I am certainly interested in asking one more question. Does anybody have any experience with not night vision, but night color cameras? Usually they're used in the security world. That camera I use for the Speed Bumps podcast, where I'm driving home, it's a piece. It's like the lowest. It says, oh, it's 1080p. It's not 1080p. It's like it's seriously, it's like shooting on a carrot and then blowing it up to 1080p. It's garbage. It's got it's like 2 bits. It's so bad. And so what I basically will do is it has an internal micro SD card. When I plug it up, I can look at it on the screen, but it's like a 30-second delay or something stupid. And so if I make an adjustment to the camera, then I have to watch. 30 seconds later, it pops up on the screen because the thing is so slow. Anyway, so does anybody have any experience with night vision? Not the kind that uses UV light and stuff like that, and it's all black and white, and your eyes are all blown out and whatever. I'm talking about actual legit color footage, but it's night. So in like low or no light, it's do you have any experience with that? Because if so, this is part of what I'm considering as I move forward and determine whether or not I want to do the Speed Bumps podcast and continue that. That's the big roadblock that I'm running into right now. Is most of the time I drive back at night. Most of the time it does not work. Thank you very much, Diesel10, for the $2 donation. I appreciate that. It's one of those things where I don't necessarily want to shoot and just have it be completely black or boost it up to the point where it's just nothing but grain on the screen and use a regular camera. So I'd like to have something that is color night vision and not just UV light where I'm there, but I'm black and white and it just looks ridiculous. So if anybody has any experience with probably some sort of a night security camera that has a built-in SD card or micro SD card, I would like that, because that is a big deciding factor on if I move forward with the Speed Bumps podcast. There's other things too, but that is the big hurdle I'm running into, is I want it to look better when I drive home at night. Most of the time it's going to be driving home at night. That's the sole purpose. For testing purposes, that is the sole purpose I bought this Insta360 X3. Is just because I want to test out and see if I could make a day podcast look good. And that will do it. That will look great. But most of the time I drive home at night, if my next show is months and months on end of night work and stuff like that, I'm not going to want to sit there and fight the Wyze camera and take 45 minutes to set the thing up before I drive home. I want it to be as simple as this, where I plug it up and set it up and then hit record and do the same thing with my audio. It's, something that's like a 30-second, not a 30-second, legitly like a 2 or 3 minute setup, record. That's what I want. I don't mind having a security camera that has a color night mode recording. And I know there's those security cameras out there. What I'm curious about is if any of them have an SD card or a micro SD card. Because if they do, I'll get a jump on that. If anybody has one that you want me to look up, I have Google open right now and I can easily look it up. So if you have any experience in that, I would love to hear your thoughts, because I will jump to it live in this stream and we can look together if you want. All right. So, question, will the type of solder used in constructing an XLR cable influence the signal passing through it? Are there characteristics in solder that should be considered when making cables? There is. The big thing is, okay, you know how there's different types of materials. There is copper, there is gold, sometimes, gold plated or whatever. There's silver conductors and stuff like that. Depending on what you are using and what you are soldering to, you want to get a solder that is designed for that. So it's very easy to do a Google search depending on what you're actually repairing. If you're making XLR cables and you're going to gold, it's going to be different than it is to nickel than it is if you go to silver. So look up. Typically, solders are more or less the same if you're talking about making cables, but there are some outliers that will sometimes you'll want to look into different types of solder. The main thing that I always say is make sure it has flux built into the solder. That is the big one. You can get the kinds of solder that do not have lead in them. Those are greener. Those are safer. You can touch them with your fingers without worrying about it getting into your skin and affecting your health. Personally, I don't like the ones as much that don't have lead in them. So if you see pictures or videos of me where I'm making cables, I usually wear gloves because I like to still touch things and stuff like that. And they're more like plastic gloves. The black Viper gloves are the best, in my opinion. Those things are great. I have a pair of those. I've reused them like 2 or 3 times. I probably need to get I need to just get some. But I'm not making a whole lot of cables right now. I already have all the cables I need, and I'm not making any more custom orders right now. Unless if you have a big custom order and you want me to make it, and I'm still off right now on show, and you want to put me into cable making mode, I'll give you a quote and I'll do it for you. If you have a custom order you want me to do, but not as soon as I get on another show. I'm not going to do it. I'll do it in the next week or two, whatever it is until I get another show. But no, I'm not interested in just getting back into cable making mode. If you have a custom order and it's a sizable one, I don't want to just do another single cable. Oh, I need a 25 footer. Nope. Sorry. I have 2 10-footers I want. Nope. I have the one SoundSpeeds XLR cable that's left if you're interested in that one. If not, I'm not making any more cable orders unless you want 10 of them. If you want 10 or something like that, ask me and I'll give you a quote for it. Or if you want even more than that, I can do that too. Just whatever. Just let me know. But I'm not going to be making any more cables anytime soon, so that's not going to be it. But usually I'm getting sidetracked here because I do that. The big thing to keep in mind is that you want flux that will help it to be better. You want to have a good quality soldering iron. That's the big thing also, so that way it works temperature-wise with the solder you're using. There are green options that do not have lead that a lot of people like. I don't personally like them. I like to have a little bit of lead in them, which means that you want to be in a place that has ventilation so that way you're not inhaling it. And you want to, and me personally, I don't ever touch the solder. So I will use gloves whenever I'm using it, even though I don't see anybody else doing that. Technically, it's probably safe. I say probably, having no knowledge of it. California laws are a little bit different. They'll probably freak out about that. But anytime I handle anything that has to do with lead, like solder, I always make sure I wear the gloves. But you just have to kind of play around and find a good alloy that you like. I think the one that I use is it's either 60-40 or it's 70-30. So what is it? 10. I got to look it up. 10/lead. Is that what it is? Maybe it's a different combination. I can't remember what it is. I I have the last little bit of a Radio Shack brand solder that I bought back in like the 90s. I bought a few of them, and I'm on my last one. And then I bought the top of the line solder that's for the kind of cable making that I do. Send me an email if you want to at alan@soundspeeds.us, and I can send you what I bought. And it works great. The stuff is really good. It has flux in it. It's really good. I don't have it offhand. It's in my soldering kit, which is underneath a thing over there. I don't want to go and get it. Anyway, though, that answers that question. So there we go. That's the end of us. No more questions. The questions have all dried up, and nobody has anything else to add or subtract. No more questions. So I guess we'll call it. Well, we've streamed for nearly 2 hours and 5 minutes as of right now. Thank you for tuning in. If there's no other questions or anything, then I will. I'll call it. I was trying to give it an extra second just in case, but there's still no more questions. So thanks for tuning in, and if you were one of the people that I said shoot me an email, please do send me that email, alan@soundspeeds.us. And if you have any information about color night vision cameras that preferably are 1080p and have a good frame rate and actually are decent. Thank you very much, Brett. $4.99 donation right there. Very much appreciate it. Always appreciate. Donations are always one of those things that is a surprise when I get them. I'm always very, very blessed by them. So thank you. But yeah, so if you are somebody that I said send me an email to, please do send me the email, and I will respond in kind with whatever it was I told you I'd respond with. Anyway, best of luck, man. Hope it goes well. Great. Thank you so much. All right, well, y'all take care, and I will see you in another video. And tomorrow's video, as of today is Sunday, it is 11 p.m. my time, so that means in 13 hours, it will be my next video. So you take care. Thanks for coming in, and I will see you very soon.